Hello everyone, it's Jay here from Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, and I am with Claire Mas, our digital guru. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to gain efficiency and effectiveness in the digital marketing arena as a solopreneur and micro business owners. So Claire will walk us through. I have some spicy questions for her. But before we hit the questions, I would like Claire to introduce herself. Claire, welcome to the tribe and hit the ground. Who are you?
Thank you. Thanks, Jay, for having me. So I'm Claire Massé and I run Digital with Claire. I've been running this business for about 4 years. But my experience in digital marketing and social media is much longer than that. So I've been in digital marketing for about 15 years, and I've worked with social media for about 10 years. I started one of Hong Kong's first social media agencies in 2010. And at the time, it was all about Facebook marketing. And now I've evolved to other platforms, and I help small businesses learn to be efficient with their social media through courses and consultancy.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Claire. We'll share all your details so that people can reach you as well. So let's hit the questions. So my first question, and it's kind of a little bit of a tricky and controversial question to ask probably to a social media and digital expert, but I believe there are a lot of women solopreneurs and micro business owners out there, and they would really like to hear a genuine answer because they're struggling with social media. So the question is social media a must to grow your company?
Yes. As a small business owner, I know how busy we are and we have lots on our plate. So I'm saying, yes, you need social media, because if you're not on there, someone else will be talking about you on social media, and that's something that you can't control. So you want to have the right social media platforms for your business so that you can control what's being said about you online. If you're efficient about it, then you don't need to spend hours every day thinking about it. You probably don't even need to really think about it too hard every day. Once you get into a pattern of planning and organizing yourself, you don't have to be thinking about it more than a few minutes every day. But I do believe that social media today is one of the most important forms of marketing and digital marketing. It's all about the 7 points of contact in marketing. So you want to touch your customer 7 times before they will buy anything from you. And being on social media is a really easy way of growing relationships with your customers and touching them regularly and for them to get to know you. So it's just such an important way to market yourself, especially at the moment. So in order to create a relationship with your customer, you need to be in touch with them more frequently, and you need to show yourself and your personality more online than ever before.
So we need to put time and effort, and we all know that it takes time and energy. And women solopreneurs and micro business owners, if they lack something, is that is time. They really do not have time. What is the kind of intelligent and efficient or wise usage of social media?
Yeah, so for me, there are 2 aspects with social media. So the first aspect is so that's the creation of quality content. And the second aspect is interaction. So that's creating meaningful relationships with your followers. And so the broadcasting aspect, you can plan it quite far in advance. So I would say put 4 hours in your calendar at the end of each month to prepare all your content, all your broadcasting content for the upcoming month. In 4 hours, you have enough to research the content, plan it, look at your past content's data to see if you want to make some changes, and you have time to create some images for your content, write the captions, and schedule your content, and you're good for a whole month of broadcasting. On the other hand, you've got interaction, which I would recommend you spend about 10 minutes a day on following other accounts, liking posts, commenting, making genuine comments on other accounts' posts, following hashtags, looking at hashtags, just spending time on the platform.
In essence, what you're saying is per month, I would have 4 hours plus 10 minutes per day, meaning about an hour per week, which means 4 hours and another 4 hours per month. So basically, in a month, if I spend a day, I would have a strong social media presence.
Definitely.
That's not that bad. That's not that bad. Yeah. But you need to be disciplined about it, I guess.
Exactly.
So if I must choose one social media channel, which one shall I choose? As like within that kind of gaining efficiency, how do I choose social media channel? Or if there's not one size fits all, then what are the evaluation criteria?
There's not one size fits all. So it's really about two things. So who's your target audience, and what are your business objectives? So in terms of target audience, for example, Facebook is a slightly older audience, but everyone has a Facebook account. Not everyone is on Facebook, but everyone has an account. If your audience is mainly affluent females, for example, you might want to look at Pinterest. If you have a very business-to-business audience, it'll be LinkedIn or maybe Twitter. And Instagram is quite broad, but it is a younger audience than Facebook, for example. So it's really about thinking about who your target audience is. And then in terms of your business objectives, so for example, a platform like Pinterest, if you want direct sales conversions, or conversions if you want increased visits to your website, Pinterest is a really great platform for you. But Facebook is more about community building, so creating a community around specific interests. It's about business credibility, about showing expertise, about showcasing your business and yourself. And Instagram is about nurturing relationships. So it might be that you meet someone, they start following you on Instagram, and you start creating a relationship with them. So it really depends what your objectives are in terms of social media and what you want to achieve with your social media.
Then what you're saying is first audience, check where your audience is.
Yeah,
that makes sense. What about, is there any like, oh, you gotta have this channel, like you have to have Instagram, otherwise it doesn't work kind of thing? Or really you can actually be just on Twitter because your audience is on Twitter, and then thrive much more than if you had Instagram?
Yeah, I'd say that there's not one single channel that you should be on. Also, when you decide on your channels, you might want to have a priority channel, and then secondary channels, because you'll probably put more effort into some of the channels depending on where you think your target audience is most present and what you want to achieve.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. And so let's say that I did all that research and I decided that my channel was X. What are the 5 first things that I do, or what top things that I do as soon as I have my channel and or continuously?
So the first thing that you need to do is brainstorm content pillars. I call them pillars. You could call them themes, for example, and brainstorm offers that you're going to be having throughout the year. So to give you an example of some content pillars that would work for any business. So the first one would be credibility content. So content such as testimonials, case studies, stories about your business, about yourself. The second type of content would be expertise content, so showing, offering value with educational posts or how-tos, tips, advice, how to use your product. Third, we have offer type posts, so posts about your products, services, about any offers that you're running. Fourth would be personality posts, so posts that create a connection with your audience. That can also include more personal posts about yourself, or even National Day posts. And fifth would be engagement posts, so that would be questions, stats, more polarizing posts about opinions. So that's 5 types of content that could work for any business. And if you're posting these 5 types of posts, you will achieve your business goals, because you'll be advertising your products, you'll be showing your personality, you'll be showing your expertise, you'll be gaining credibility. So if you have all 5 types of posts in your content, that's a really great place to start. So that was my first thing to do.
Yep.
Second is planning. So plan the time when you're going to be creating your content, plan the time when you're going to be interacting. Thirdly, analyze. So always keep an eye on your data. So whether it's Facebook analytics or Instagram insights. So just making sure that your posts are performing the way that you want, that your audience is the type of audience that you're trying to reach. And fourth is about interaction. So make sure that you always have a call to action in every single post that you create, whether it's on LinkedIn asking a question, or on Instagram stories, using a sticker with a poll, or asking people to tag someone in a Facebook post. So just making sure that there's always a call to action in every single post that you create. And finally, fifth, reuse, repurpose, recycle any content that you create. So for example, if you write a blog on your website, make sure that you're reusing it, reusing some of the data, for example, creating infographics that you can post on LinkedIn, or create a mini video to explain what it's about for your Facebook or Instagram stories. Advertise it on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook. So make sure that any content that you create, that you reuse it, and that you repurpose it, and that you recycle it as much as possible, because once you've created a great piece of content, it's such a shame to not maximize it.
Yeah. All right, great. 5 things to do. I love the content pillars. I think that is a really good kind of basically 5 days sorted. You know, if you actually used 5 pillars every day each, then that's 5 days sorted. And I'm sure that as a micro business owner or solopreneur, everybody has something to say about each. So yeah. Great. So one thing that you mentioned is check your insights is one of the things to do. Can you actually elaborate a little bit more on this? Because how shall I read and interpret insights, and how then do I kind of iterate what I was doing? What's a good insight? How do I know that it's actually good?
Yeah. So first of all, as I mentioned at the beginning, you have to forget the vanity metrics. So forget about the number of followers you have. Obviously, you want to keep an eye that they're not decreasing, because that would be a bit worrying, but otherwise that's not the most important. What the types of metrics that you want to look at are interaction metrics. So number of comments, number of likes, number of saves, number of shares, things like that. And the best way to use your insights is to check them every month or every 2 months, and just look at the insights for each of your platforms, and decide what types of content and posts you want to repeat, tweak, ditch, and decide on. So the way that I would do it is look at the pillars, for example. So any of these pillars, just maybe they don't work for you, or one of them works really well for you. So maybe do more content around that specific pillar. It could be around design. So maybe look at colors, or if you're using stock images or pictures of yourself, maybe that's some of those work better than others. So that's another way of tweaking your content. Calls to action, what types of calls to action work better than others. Hashtags as well for Instagram. You might notice that some hashtags work better than others, and it's quite hard to see the effectiveness of hashtags, but you can see which posts do better, and the posts that have these hashtags probably had better hashtags. And caption, so the type of caption that you use, long, short, and the type of content, so pictures, videos, carousels, stats, what is most effective.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna move on to sales and talk about sales. So it's all this great, and we grow this kind of presence on our social media, but how do I convert on social media? What shall I do to actually start making money out of it?
Yeah. So again, it depends on the platform. So for example, if I start with Pinterest, Pinterest is the best platform for converting. So there's a pin, people click on it, they go to your website, done. The whole idea of Pinterest is to get people to leave the platform as quickly as possible and go to your website. Whereas Instagram, for example, it's about nurturing leads and nurturing relationships. So for example, with Instagram, if you have a small account, the way that you're going to start seeing a difference is, for example, you go to a networking event, you ask people to follow you on Instagram, especially at the moment when we're not meeting face to face. The only thing that well, you're only on Zoom, so you're not meeting in person. So you tell them to follow you on Instagram, and bam, you've got a relationship going with them, because they're seeing your posts, they're finding out more about you, they're understanding who you are, what you do, you're gaining trust from them. So you're nurturing not a cold lead, but a warm lead. And then once you've created a relationship with these people, then they will buy from you because they trust you. As your Instagram account gets larger, then you start getting cold leads and new leads from Instagram. But I'd say that under 1,000 followers, you'll probably only be getting warmer leads rather than new leads with your Instagram account.
Okay, that's a great tip. I'm going to ask this question for my own benefit. So you have been talking about Pinterest, and it's really interesting because Pinterest started to come up and bubbling in the discussions in the probably last year. I haven't heard that much about Pinterest. I love it because I have my boards and I can, cook, find recipes, etc. But
Yeah.
I never thought about it as a actually business tool.
Yeah.
Or I was always thinking that it could be a great business tool if you are in the visual businesses, like if you're a designer, photographer, etc. But what do you say for a business which is not that visual or a service business? Could they be still using Pinterest as a direct lead generator? Do you think that it's would you say that we should open our Pinterest account, for example?
So again, I'm not saying that everyone needs to be on Pinterest, but if it's something that you're interested in, it can really work for you. So Pinterest is not actually a social media platform; it's a search engine. And what I say is it's a search engine for visual people. So, for example, if you're doing some research about accounting, so if you're a visual person, you might find it easier to see a graphic that explains how you should be doing your accounting rather than a blog or someone telling you what to do. So it really is a search engine for visual people, and it's not just about for weddings and cookery businesses. It's very broad. Pinterest has had a large boom in the UK since the beginning of this year, and you do hear a lot more about it. We've heard a lot more about it recently, and the types of searches on Pinterest at the moment are things that can really work for businesses. So there's things like positivity, mental health, all these things people are searching a lot at the moment on Pinterest. And yes, Pinterest is the best conversion social media platform. So you'll see much higher visits to your website as soon as you start being present and being active on Pinterest.
All right, you are talking to me now. Okay. We'll definitely look into it. Girls, I don't know what you think, but I will definitely look into Pinterest as well. I'm not sure if I can stretch that much, but maybe there are things that I can actually repurpose from what we have used on our other platforms, because we have, like all the images, etc. So that's
the way that I use Pinterest is every time I write a blog post, I create 5 pins right away, so that I post these pins to Pinterest, and that already creates quite a lot of content.
And do you post them right away, or do you post them one by one?
I use this is a whole other conversation. I use a scheduling tool called Tailwind.
Okay, so this is actually my last question is about that. It's can you give us some social media facilitating tools, apps, names, so that we are a little bit more efficient on how we do things?
This first tool I would recommend is Canva, which is a graphic designing tool for non-graphic designers. You can download it to your phone. You can also use it on your computer. I tend to, when I'm creating all my content for the next month, I'll do it directly on my computer, and it's just very quick and easy, and it's super simple to use, even if you have no background in design. So that's, for me, that's the most important tool for brands, for having consistent branding and just consistent posts on social media. You can also resize posts on Canva. So once you've created, for example, your blog cover image, you can resize it for Instagram, and then you can make it into a pin. So that's very efficient. The second tool that I use a lot is it's very simple. It's Google Spreadsheet, and I just use Google Spreadsheet for my content calendar, for my content plan, for my hashtag bank. So it's I've used lots of different types of content planning tools, but I just go back to Google Spreadsheet. It's just simple, and I can access it from my computer, from my phone, so it's just easy to use. I also use Unsplash, which is a stock image bank, which has really good quality stock images. So that's something that I would recommend. Scheduling tools. So there's lots of different scheduling tools out there. Some simple ones are Planoly, which is mostly for Instagram. Later as well is mostly for Instagram. Buffer, which is also good for Twitter and Facebook. I've also been trying CoSchedule, which is something that you use, Jay, which is really good for repurposing, actually, because you create social media campaigns.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to remind yourself that you should be posting about your blog in different places and things like that. Tailwind, which is the best tool for Pinterest scheduling. Another app that I use is Lightroom, which is by Adobe, and it lets you create reuse preset filters for your pictures. So if you want to have a really sleek Instagram account with really nice consistent pictures, that's a good way of doing it, using Lightroom. And my last one is Pinterest, because Pinterest is a great place for content ideas. So I should have actually put it at the beginning, because it's more of a planning tool. So I use it a lot for planning my content, getting ideas, for example, quotes, ideas of how to lay out my content, things like that. So I really recommend using Pinterest for your content research.
That's really amazing. Thank you. Yeah, I've never thought about that. That's a really good tip in terms of like, look at what others doing.
Yeah.
To get inspired. I'm not saying copy paste, but to get inspired. Yeah. Well, this was amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, it was like literally a crash course for myself. So I hope everyone will enjoy it as much as I did. But thank you. This was so much valuable information packed like this. I can't even I don't think that you could have it everywhere. This kind of like really intense tips and tricks and also strategic information. I really look forward to have the workshop also with you. My last question that I ask to every single woman expert that comes here. So outside of social media, outside of everything, as a solopreneur yourself and a woman solopreneur, what advice do you have for others?
I would say it's about managing your time. So just being careful that you don't mix everything up. So I try to, when I'm working, I try to be focused on my work, and when I'm with my children, I try to be focused on my children and not mix them both. So trying to draw a line between work and personal life, because it's so easy to just interlace the two and just get stressed about both and feeling guilty about not doing one thing or the other. So that would be my advice.
That's a great advice. Thank you so much, Claire. Thank you. You are a great support, great female entrepreneur, and thank you for being here and accepting our invitation.
Thank you so much.
And I will see you very soon.
Yeah, thank you.